An ancient computer made of bronze gears sits at the bottom of the sea. This video reveals 25 artifacts that hold secrets which should not exist in their time. You will gain a completely new perspective on human history, one where our ancestors' knowledge rivals our own. How did a 2,000-year-old device predict eclipses with perfect accuracy? And why was a battery found in a Mesopotamian tomb? By the end, you will see the timeline of human progress not as a straight line, but a story with forgotten chapters. What does true advancement actually look like? The sea gave up its secret in the year 1901. Spongedivers, seeking treasure off the coast of a small Greek island, found instead a corroded lump of bronze and wood. This unassuming object, later known as the Antikythera Mechanism, would become one of history's most profound puzzles. For decades, its true nature remained locked away, hidden by centuries of mineral encrustation. It was only with the advent of advanced X-ray technology that researchers could peer inside, revealing a breathtaking complexity of interlocking gears. This was not a simple statue or navigational tool, but a precise mechanical computer engineered to model the cosmos. Its dozens of finely cut bronze gears worked in concert to track the movements of the sun, the moon, and the known planets. It could predict lunar and solar eclipses with stunning accuracy, and even accounted for the irregular orbit of the moon. The device was a portable universe, a cosmic clockwork built 2,000 years ago. Its very existence forces us to rethink an entire era. Who were the thinkers capable of such engineering? What knowledge was lost when the ship carrying it sank beneath the waves? The mechanism stands as a silent witness to a level of technical sophistication that simply should not have existed. It is a ghost in the machine of history, a whisper of a forgotten golden age of science. This question of vanished precision leads us to a different kind of artifact, one not of bronze gears but of fired clay and a mysterious liquid. Found within a Mesopotamian tomb, this peculiar object seems almost mundane at first glance. It is a simple clay jar about the size of a man's fist, sealed with an asphalt stopper, but inside lies its secret, a copper cylinder housing a single iron rod. For nearly 2,000 years, it sat in silence, a forgotten relic from the Parthian era. It was only when a researcher filled a replica with an acidic substance like vinegar or grape juice that the artifact's true potential was awakened. The jar produced a measurable electric current, a small but undeniable voltage. This was no ordinary pot. It was a primitive battery, a galvanic cell created centuries before such a concept entered the scientific mind. The purpose of the Baghdad Battery remains one of history's great debates. Was it used for electroplating, to deposit a thin layer of gold onto silver objects, creating the appearance of solid gold? This would explain the exquisite gilded artifacts from the period that have long puzzled historians. Or did it serve a more mystical function, perhaps providing a gentle, mysterious tingle during religious rituals or early medical treatments? The shock from such a device would have felt like magic or divine power. While we may never know its exact application, the artifact itself is undeniable proof of concept. It demonstrates that the fundamental principles of electricity were not just understood, but were being manipulated for practical use in an era we often view as technologically dormant. This was not theoretical knowledge, it was applied science. The very existence of this battery forces us to ask what other simple technologies have been lost to time, technologies that could have altered the path of human progress. From this quiet hum of ancient power, we are drawn to a monument that speaks a different yet equally impossible language, the language of the stars carved in stone. Deep within the stone walls of the Hathor Temple at Dendera, a peculiar relief stands out from the myriad of ancient carvings. It shows a large, elongated object, almost like a glass bulb with a snake writhing inside it. This strange form is held aloft by a supporting pillar, while a figure seems to gesture towards it, and a mysterious baboon-like creature stands nearby. To a modern eye, the resemblance to an electric light bulb is startling. The snake takes the place of a glowing filament, and the pillar could be an insulator with cables snaking away from the base. Could this be evidence that the ancient Egyptians harnessed electric light? The idea is captivating, suggesting illuminated tombs and temples long before Edison. Mainstream scholars, however, offer a different, deeply symbolic interpretation. They see not a light bulb, but a lotus flower from which a divine serpent is emerging, a powerful image tied to creation myths and the journey of the sun god through the underworld. This is the core of the controversy. Are we seeing a literal technological blueprint, or are we projecting our own modern understanding onto a complex spiritual symbol? The truth may be forever obscured by the passage of millennia. The Dendera carving forces a vital question: how do we distinguish ancient fact from ancient faith? It challenges us to recognize the limits of our interpretation, reminding us that our ancestors communicated in a language of symbols we are still learning to read. This mystery of interpretation finds a startling parallel in an object that seems to speak a much clearer, more scientific language, an artifact that reveals a shocking understanding of the human body. The line between a revolutionary discovery and a simple mistake is often razor-thin. In February 1961, 3 men hunting for geodes near Olancha, California, cracked open what they thought was a common stone nodule. Inside, they found something utterly baffling: a porcelain cylinder surrounding a magnetic metal rod, all encased within the solid rock. It looked for all the world like a modern spark plug. The geode itself was dated to an astonishing 500,000 years old, a time when early humans were just beginning to use simple stone tools. The so-called Coso Artifact immediately ignited a firestorm of speculation. Was this definitive proof of a prehistoric advanced civilization, or even evidence of ancient astronauts? The idea of an out-of-place artifact, or OOP art, was thrilling, suggesting a history far stranger than any textbook allowed. Yet the story serves as a powerful lesson in scientific rigor. Later investigations pointed to a more mundane truth. The object was almost certainly a champion spark plug from the 1920s, a type commonly used in Model T Fords. The mystery then shifted from what it was to how it got there. The process of concretion, where minerals can build up around an object relatively quickly in the right conditions, could explain its stony shell. A spark plug dropped by a miner or prospector decades earlier could have become the nucleus for a hard geode that later appeared impossibly ancient. The Coso Artifact reminds us that extraordinary claims demand extraordinary evidence. It highlights the human desire to find meaning in the unexplained, while also underscoring the painstaking work required to separate genuine historical anomalies from modern misunderstandings. This journey from a California mountainside to a verified ancient marvel leads us to a city whose planning was so advanced, it feels equally out of place in its own time. Buried within the ruins of a city over 4,000 years old, a simple strip of shell tells a story of astonishing order. In the meticulously planned streets of Mohenjo-Daro, part of the vast Indus Valley civilization, archaeologists uncovered rulers made of ivory and shell. These were not crude measuring sticks. They were precision instruments, their units calibrated to an almost exact 1.32 inches, a standard now known as the Indus inch. This single standard of measurement has been found repeated across a vast geographic area, from the shores of the Arabian Sea deep into the heart of the Indian subcontinent. Imagine the coordination this required, a central authority establishing a unit of length so precise that a builder in one city and a merchant in another, separated by hundreds of miles, could work from the same blueprint without ever meeting. This was not just about convenience, it was the foundation of an empire. This unwavering standard enabled the construction of cities with perfectly baked bricks of uniform size. It facilitated fair and trusted trade from one region to the next, and it allowed for a complex administration to govern millions. The civilization's entire economy and infrastructure rested on this bedrock of metrological certainty. The accuracy of these ancient rulers rivals measurements from civilizations that would follow 1,000 years later. How did they achieve such consistency, and why did this knowledge, like the civilization itself, eventually fade into obscurity? This mastery of measuring the immediate world finds a breathtaking parallel in another artifact, one that attempted to map the entire cosmos. The precision of the Indus Valley rulers speaks to a mastery of the tangible world, but another map from a far later era suggests a knowledge of the planet so complete it defies all explanation. In the year 1513, Ottoman Admiral Piri Reis drew a world map that has confounded historians ever since. This is not merely an old chart, it is a geographical ghost story. The map, a compilation of about 20 older source maps the Admiral claimed to have consulted, shows the western coast of Africa, the eastern coast of South America, and the northern coast of Antarctica. It is this last detail that sends a chill through conventional history. The map depicts the coastline of Queen Maud Land in Antarctica with breathtaking accuracy, but it shows this land not as it appears today, buried under miles of ice, but as it would look as a bare, ice-free continent. The geological evidence confirms that Antarctica was last ice-free thousands of years ago, a time when, according to our records, no civilization possessed the seafaring or cartographic technology to survey such a hostile and remote part of the globe. So how did this information find its way onto a 16th century Turkish map? The implication is staggering. It points to the existence of an unknown, pre-classical maritime civilization, a culture with the ships and the skills to explore the entire planet, charting coastlines with a precision that would not be matched again for centuries. Their maps, now lost to time, were copied and recopied, their incredible data preserved like a whisper in the work of later cartographers like Piri Reis. This artifact forces us to confront a profound gap in our story, a forgotten age of exploration that mapped the Earth long before the accepted timeline of human discovery. If ancient minds could so perfectly chart the frozen ends of the Earth, it makes you wonder what else they knew about the cosmos above them. While the Piri Reis map charted the continents, a discovery in a German forest revealed a much older ambition to map the heavens. The Nebra Sky Disc, found by treasure hunters in 1999, is a breathtaking object of bronze and gold, dating back an incredible 3,600 years. It is not a piece of jewelry or a ceremonial shield, but the world's oldest known portable astronomical instrument. Imagine holding a model of the universe in your hands, a cosmic clock forged in the heart of the European Bronze Age. The disc's surface is a symbolic night sky with gold inlays representing a crescent moon, a full sun or perhaps another moon, and a scattered cluster of 32 stars. One group of 7 stars is unmistakably the Pleiades, a constellation significant to ancient farmers for marking the seasons. But the most sophisticated features are the 2 golden arcs added to its perimeter later. These arcs precisely mark the points on the horizon where the sun rises and sets between the summer and winter solstices. A final addition, a third arc at the bottom that resembles a solar barge, suggests a deep layer of mythological belief intertwined with the scientific observation. This was not just a picture of the sky, it was a functional calendar and a religious icon all in one. It allowed its users to predict the solstices, to know when to plant and when to harvest, and to synchronize their lives with the cosmic order. The Nebra Sky Disc shatters the old image of prehistoric Europe as a land of primitive tribes. It proves that people living in simple hill forts possessed a complex, codified understanding of celestial mechanics, a knowledge system advanced enough to translate the movements of the sun and moon into a practical tool for survival and worship. This mastery of cosmic time, captured on a bronze disc, finds its most monumental expression in a structure of stone that has stood silent for millennia. Scattered deep in the jungles of Costa Rica, hundreds of stone spheres lie as if abandoned by giants. Ranging from the size of a melon to over 6 feet in diameter, these nearly perfect orbs were crafted by the Diquis culture, a people who flourished from around 300 AD until the arrival of the Spanish in the 1500s. The mystery is not just their existence, but their impossible precision. How did a society without metal tools, without the wheel, shape granite and other hard stones into forms of such geometric perfection? The process was undoubtedly monumental, involving heating the stone, cooling it rapidly to fracture it, and then painstakingly pecking and grinding it into shape over generations. But the why remains utterly elusive. Were these spheres astronomical markers arranged to point to celestial events, a terrestrial map of the heavens? Perhaps they were symbols of power, with the size and number of spheres a family owned denoting their status and authority. Some even suggest they were symbolic representations of the sun, the moon, or other celestial bodies themselves, solid models of the cosmic forces that governed their world. Whatever their purpose, the sheer effort involved speaks to a profound cultural imperative, a drive to impose perfect spherical order on the chaotic jungle stone. This mastery over stone on a grand, almost obsessive scale finds a powerful echo far across the ocean, in a place where another culture moved mountains to build a city in the sky. High in the Peruvian Andes, the fortress of Sacsayhuaman presents a stone puzzle on a colossal scale. Its walls, built in a distinctive zig-zag pattern, are composed of gigantic limestone blocks, some weighing over 100 tons. These are not simple rectangles. Each stone is a unique, irregular polygon, with multiple interlocking sides and complex angles, yet they fit together with a seamlessness that defies belief. The joints are so perfect, so meticulously carved, that you cannot slide a single piece of paper between them. There is no mortar holding this puzzle together, only the genius of its engineering and the immense weight of the stones themselves. The how of this construction remains one of archaeology's great enigmas. How were these colossal blocks quarried, transported up the mountain, and then shaped with such inhuman precision? The common theory suggests workers used stone hammers and bronze tools to painstakingly peck and grind the surfaces into shape, a process that would have required generations of labor. Yet this fails to fully explain the flawless, almost organic fit of the stones, a technique that seems to soften the rock as if it were clay. This was not just about creating strong walls, it was about creating walls that could endure forever. The zig-zag design and the interlocking blocks act as a sophisticated seismic dampener. When an earthquake strikes, the stones in the Sacsayhuaman walls shift and settle, absorbing the tremendous energy without collapsing. They move as one, then lock back into place, a testament to a stonemasonry technique so advanced it rivals modern engineering. This was a civilization that did not simply build with stone. They understood its very soul, crafting a fortress that dances with the earth's tremors. This mastery of monumental, earthquake-resistant stonework finds a stunning parallel far across the Pacific, on a remote island where another culture carved giants from volcanic rock. The silent stone giants of Easter Island stand with their backs to the sea, eternal guardians of a forgotten world. Carved from compressed volcanic ash by the Rapa Nui people, these moai are far more than just massive heads. Their full bodies extend deep into the earth, with the tallest standing over 30 feet high and weighing as much as 80 tons. For centuries, the central mystery was how these colossal figures were moved miles from the quarry to their ceremonial platforms without wheels, without draft animals, and on a remote island with limited resources. The answer may be surprisingly dynamic. Recent experiments by archaeologists have demonstrated that a relatively small team of people could have walked the statues across the landscape. By using ropes to rock the moai from side to side, carefully pivoting it forward with each gentle sway, they could create a slow, deliberate, and upright gait. This walking method, captured in a compelling demonstration, shows how the giants might have truly strode across their island home, but the how is only part of the puzzle. The why reveals a society deeply in tune with the cosmos. The platforms, known as ahu, upon which the moai were erected are not randomly placed. Many are aligned with celestial events, positioned to mark the solstices or the rising of certain stars. These were not just monuments to powerful ancestors, they were pillars of a cosmological system, giant stone compasses that connected the community to the rhythms of the sky and the fertility of the land. They were the spiritual heartbeat of the island, their sightless eyes watching over a world they helped to define. The story of the moai is a profound lesson in human ingenuity and the deep, universal drive to leave a permanent mark on the world. A drive equally visible in the vast, empty deserts of the Middle East, where an entire library was nearly lost to the sands. A book that cannot be read holds a unique kind of power. In the year 1912, a rare book dealer named Wilfred Voynich acquired a strange manuscript that would forever bear his name. This was no ordinary medieval text. Its vellum pages, carbon dated to the early 15th century, were filled from edge to edge with a flowing, unknown script, a language that has defied every attempt at translation for over a century. Alongside the text are illustrations that are both detailed and deeply unsettling. You see plants that do not exist in any botanical record, their roots and leaves arranged in impossible configurations. There are intricate astronomical charts showing constellations no one can identify, and pages filled with drawings of tiny, naked women bathing in a system of green, interconnected tubes. Is it a treatise on herbal medicine from a lost world, a secret alchemist's notebook encoded to protect powerful secrets, or is it an elaborate and brilliant hoax crafted to deceive a wealthy patron? The Voynich Manuscript's code has resisted the efforts of the world's top cryptographers, including code breakers from the First and Second World Wars who cracked enemy ciphers. Its patterns suggest a real, structured language, yet one that remains just beyond our grasp. This artifact is a humbling reminder that the past still keeps secrets we cannot force open, that some doors remain locked even to the modern mind. But where one language has stubbornly refused to yield its meaning, another was cracked wide open, revealing the voice of an entire civilization. The struggle to decipher the Voynich manuscript stands in stark contrast to a different kind of linguistic puzzle, one that was gloriously solved. For over 1,000 years, the voice of ancient Egypt was utterly silent. Its hieroglyphs, the sacred script covering temple walls and papyrus scrolls, were beautiful, elaborate, and completely unreadable. The meaning behind those intricate pictures of birds, eyes, and serpents had vanished from human memory, sealing away the history, religion, and daily life of a mighty civilization. This great wall of silence was shattered by the discovery of a single, dark slab of granodiorite, found by French soldiers in 1799 while rebuilding a fort in the Egyptian town of Rosetta. The stone was unlike any other artifact. It was not a statue or a piece of jewelry, but a formal decree, a royal announcement from the time of King Ptolemy V, carved in the year 196 BC. Its true power lay not in its message but in its presentation. The same text was inscribed 3 times in 3 different scripts. At the top were the mysterious pictorial hieroglyphs, the script of the priests and the gods. In the middle was Demotic, the cursive, everyday script of the Egyptian people, and at the bottom was ancient Greek, the language of the ruling Ptolemaic government, a language that scholars could already read. The Rosetta Stone was not merely a trilingual document, it was a cryptographic key. For the first time, researchers had a direct parallel text, a linguistic bridge that allowed them to match the known words of Greek to the unknown symbols of Egypt. The race to decipher it was intense, a 20-year intellectual battle culminating in the brilliant breakthrough of French scholar Jean-François Champollion. By identifying the names of Ptolemy and Cleopatra within the oval cartouches, he proved that hieroglyphs were not just pictograms but could represent sounds, forming a complex mix of phonetic and ideographic signs. The stone itself is a physical record of a multicultural society, a kingdom where Egyptian and Greek cultures coexisted and where official proclamations had to be understood by all. The unlocking of hieroglyphs flung open the doors to 3,000 years of history, resurrecting pharaohs, gods, and commoners from their long silence. It was the ultimate act of historical recovery, proving that a lost language could be found. Yet this monumental success only deepens the mystery of the Voynich Manuscript and others like it, reminding us that for every code we crack, another remains stubbornly sealed, waiting for its own Rosetta Stone. Buried in the ashes of a Minoan palace, a simple clay disc holds a message forever frozen in time. Discovered in the ruins of Phaistos on the island of Crete, this artifact from the 2nd millennium BC is a perfect circle of fired clay, its entire surface marching with a continuous spiral of mysterious symbols. There are 45 distinct signs, from human heads and birds to shields and flowers, each one stamped neatly into the clay. This is not handwriting, it is a form of printing, a fact that makes the disc even more extraordinary. With 241 individual tokens arranged in a seemingly deliberate sequence, it presents a clear, organized text. Yet, for over a century, its meaning has remained utterly locked away. The script it uses is unique, appearing nowhere else in the world, a language without any known relative. Is it a religious hymn, a legal code, or a royal proclamation? The very uniqueness of the Phaistos Disc is the core of its mystery. Because no other example of this writing has ever been found, there is no key, no Rosetta Stone to provide a translation. It stands alone, a single, desperate message from a lost society, sent across the millennia with no way for us to read it. We can only wonder what urgent story its spiral path is trying to tell. While the Phaistos Disc communicates in an unbreakable code, another artifact from a different culture speaks a much clearer, more universal language, the language of mathematics. Deep in the heart of Africa, a simple tool handle carved from a baboon's fibula tells a silent story of intellectual dawn. Discovered at the edge of the Congo's Lake Edward, the Ishango Bone is 20,000 years old, a relic from a time when humanity lived as nomadic hunters and gatherers. At first glance, it appears to be just a series of tally marks, random scratches for counting, but a closer look reveals a deliberate, intelligent pattern. The notches are arranged in 3 distinct columns, grouped in sequences that seem to follow mathematical rules. One column groups notches in sets of prime numbers, 11, 13, 17, and 19. Another column clearly demonstrates a method of doubling, moving from 3 to 6 and 4 to 8. This is not simple counting, it is calculation. It is evidence of a mind that recognized abstract numerical concepts, playing with the fundamental patterns of mathematics. Was it a lunar calendar tracking the phases of the moon over 2 months? Or was it a teaching tool used to explore the relationships between numbers? Whatever its specific purpose, the Ishango Bone shatters the notion that complex abstract thought only began with farming and cities. Here, at the dawn of our species' journey, a person was carefully etching the language of mathematics into bone, proving that the human drive to find order in the universe is ancient and profound. This early evidence of numeracy shows that abstract thinking has deep roots in human history, roots that would eventually support entire civilizations. This grasp of time and number on a small, personal scale finds its most monumental expression in our next artifact, which reveals an early but incredibly precise understanding of time on a cosmic level. Far from simple timekeeping, the Maya viewed time as a sacred force, a complex tapestry of interlocking cycles that governed everything from harvest to the fate of kings. Their calendar system was not one but several, a symphony of celestial mathematics working in perfect harmony. The Hob was a 365-day solar year, a practical calendar for agriculture. The Tzolk'in was a 260-day sacred cycle used for religious ceremony and divination, but the true masterpiece was the long count, a linear calendar that measured vast epochs of time. It was this system that allowed them to calculate a solar year with breathtaking precision, arriving at a figure of 365.2420 days. Our modern measurement, with all our technology, is only 365.2422. That is a difference of just minutes over an entire year, a level of accuracy that seems almost impossible without telescopes or precise mechanical clocks. This deep astronomical knowledge was not abstract. It was the very bedrock of their world. Their ability to predict eclipses and the movements of Venus gave priests and rulers immense power, allowing them to align their rituals and their reigns with the perceived will of the gods. The Maya calendar is a testament to a civilization that looked at the cosmos and saw not random stars, but a grand, calculable order. This intellectual triumph of charting vast cycles of time finds a practical counterpart in a single object, a handheld device that brought the cosmos down to Earth. Etched into a ceiling beam of a 3,000-year-old temple, the past seems to scream a message from the future. In the Temple of Seti I at Abydos, a panel of hieroglyphs includes shapes that are startlingly familiar, a clear outline of a helicopter with its rotor and tail, what looks like a submarine, and even a futuristic jet plane. To the modern eye, this is undeniable proof of something impossible, a glimpse of advanced technology in the age of the pharaohs. The official explanation, however, lies not in time travel, but in the practical realities of ancient construction. Egyptologists identify these figures as palimpsests, a term for a surface where the original writing has been erased to make way for a new text. In this case, the theory goes, the plaster filling the original hieroglyphs, which likely spelled out the royal names of Seti I, fell out over centuries. A later pharaoh, Ramesses II, then had his own titles carved directly over the same space. The result is a chaotic overlap of symbols, where the curves of a crook and the lines of a basket from one name accidentally combine with the animal and human figures of another, creating entirely new, anachronistic shapes purely by chance. This clash of interpretations is a perfect storm where the human brain's powerful tendency to find patterns, especially familiar ones, collides with a plausible historical process. The Abydos carvings force us to confront a critical question. Are we seeing what was truly meant to be there, or are we seeing what we are conditioned to see? It is a powerful reminder that our modern perspective can sometimes be the greatest obstacle to understanding the ancient mind. While the Abydos Helicopter remains a controversial illusion, our next artifact presents a mystery with a very real and very tangible technological function that no one can deny. While the Abydos carvings present a mystery of perception, the Iron Pillar of Delhi offers a mystery of pure physical endurance. For over 1,600 years, this 23-foot-tall column of iron has stood in the open air, facing monsoon rains and scorching sun, yet it refuses to rust. This is not a small trinket hidden away in a dry tomb. It is a monumental 7-ton object exposed to the elements, and it shows almost no significant corrosion. Modern scientists were baffled. How could such an ancient artifact defy the most basic laws of metallurgy? The secret was found in its unique composition. The ancient Indian blacksmiths who forged it in the 4th century AD used a process that created an incredibly high phosphorus content and a very low sulfur and manganese content in the iron. Over centuries, this specific recipe, combined with the local climate, allowed a thin, protective film to form on the pillar's surface. This film, a mere fraction of a millimeter thick, is a compound called mesawite. It acts as a perfect, self-healing barrier, preventing oxygen and moisture from ever reaching the pure iron beneath. The skill required to achieve this on such a massive scale is staggering. It reveals a profound, almost intuitive understanding of metallurgy, a knowledge of how to manipulate the very structure of metal that was lost for centuries and has only been replicated with modern laboratory precision. This was not an accident, it was a masterwork of engineering, a testament to a civilization that could command iron itself to last for millennia. Such incredible durability makes you wonder what other secrets of preservation and construction were known to the ancient world. The Roman Dodecahedron is a perfect geometric puzzle cast in bronze. These fist-sized objects, each with 12 identical pentagonal faces and a hollow core, have been unearthed from England to Hungary. Every face is pierced by a circular hole of a different diameter, and small knobs sit at each corner where the faces meet. Their craftsmanship is superb, but their absence from history is absolute. Not a single Roman text, letter, or inventory describes what they were for. With over 100 of these enigmatic objects found, they clearly held a significant and widely understood purpose in their time, a purpose now utterly lost to us. Was it a tool for gauging the optimal size of pipes in aqueduct construction? A sophisticated device for determining the perfect planting date by measuring the angle of sunlight through its different holes? Perhaps it was a religious relic used in rituals we can no longer comprehend. One of the more charming theories suggests they were used for knitting, as a sort of frame for creating seamless woolen gloves. Yet each proposed function runs into a logical problem. If they were practical tools, why are they never found with other tools? And why do they show no signs of the wear and tear such use would create? If they were sacred, why are they discovered in such mundane, domestic settings? The dodecahedron is a ghost in the archaeological record, a common object from an ancient world that has become completely alien. It forces us to confront a humbling truth that even a civilization as well documented as Rome can hide everyday secrets we may never unravel. This strange gap in our understanding finds a haunting parallel in an object that seems to serve no practical purpose at all, a simple sphere of crystal that should not exist. A single silver coin, no larger than a thumbnail, carries the weight of 1,000 ships. Found at a Native American coastal settlement in Maine, this small artifact is a Norse penny minted during the reign of King Olaf Kyrre. dating it to the 11th century. On one side, a crude cross is stamped, a symbol of a faith spreading across Scandinavia. On the other, the name of the king himself. Its discovery in the 1970s sent shockwaves through the archaeological community, for it is a coin that should not exist in the soil of North America. It is a ghost from a distant mint, a whisper of a world connected long before Columbus. The penny is a tangible echo of the Viking sagas that tell of Leif Eriksson's voyage to a land he called Vinland. We know they built a small settlement at Elance Oaks Meadows in Newfoundland, a fleeting foothold on a vast continent. But the Maine Penny asks a deeper question: how far south did they truly venture? Did Norse explorers sail down the coast, trading with the indigenous peoples they encountered? This coin could be direct proof of that contact, a piece of silver passed from a Viking trader to a Native American hunter, perhaps in exchange for furs or food. Skeptics offer a more mundane, yet equally fascinating explanation. They suggest the coin could have traveled south not by Viking longship, but through extensive indigenous trade networks that span the continent, passed from hand to hand over hundreds of years until it finally came to rest in Maine. Yet, even if this is the case, the coin remains a powerful symbol. It is a physical clue in the grand puzzle of ancient global connections, forcing us to reconsider the map of the medieval world. It suggests that the oceans were not absolute barriers, but potential highways for the most daring explorers. If a Norse coin could cross the Atlantic, what other journeys have been forgotten by history? This idea of lost voyages and potential global travel finds a truly audacious counterpart in an artifact that seems to suggest ancient cultures were looking to the skies. A small wooden falcon, no bigger than a hand, rests in a Cairo museum case, discovered in an ancient tomb at Saqqara. This Egyptian artifact from 200 years before Christ is traditionally labeled as a ceremonial bird. But its design tells a different story. Unlike a bird, its wings are perfectly straight and rigid, its body streamlined like a fuselage, lacking the curved, feathered contours of avian art. It looks less like a creature of the air and more like a model of a fixed-wing aircraft. This is the Saqqara Bird, and its simple form ignites a profound debate. Was it merely a child's toy, a religious offering, or something far more insightful? When aerodynamics experts examined its proportions, they found its shape curiously optimized for flight. The wings are even slightly angled, a design that would generate lift as it moves through the air. Intrigued, researchers built precise replicas and tested them. On their own, the models would stall and tumble, but when they added one small, missing component, a horizontal tail stabilizer, the Saqqara Bird soared. It became a stable, efficient glider. This simple addition, which could have been lost from the original wooden artifact over the centuries, completes a functional aerodynamic design. The implication is staggering. It suggests that the craftsmen of ancient Egypt, through keen observation and empirical tinkering, may have stumbled upon the foundational principles of aerodynamics. They may not have dreamed of powered flight, but they could have been exploring the mechanics of gliding, perhaps for ritual purposes or even simple amusement. It stands as a quiet, wooden question mark, challenging our perception of ancient innovation and hinting at a path of technological inquiry that was opened and then forgotten long before the Wright brothers ever left the ground. This tantalizing glimpse of potential ancient aviation finds a companion in another object that seems to defy its own time with its complex internal logic. Forged in fire and inscribed with a name that became a legend, the Viking Ulfberht Swords were the superweapons of their age. Across Europe, from the 9th to the 11th centuries, warriors wielded these blades marked with a distinct inscription +ULFBERHT+. But their true power was not in the name, it was in the metal itself. While most European swords of the era were forged from brittle, impure iron that could shatter in the heat of battle, the Ulfberts were something else entirely. They were made from a steel so pure, so strong and flexible, that it should not have existed for another 800 years. This was crucible steel, a material of near-perfect quality that would not become common until the Industrial Revolution. The secret was a process of heating the iron to an extremely high temperature in a sealed container, a crucible. This intense heat allowed the impurities to separate out, leaving behind a homogeneous, high-carbon steel that could be honed to a sharper, more resilient edge. A warrior with an Ulfberht held a monumental advantage, a blade that could slice through lesser weapons and armor without breaking. But this technological marvel poses a profound question. How did Viking smiths acquire this knowledge? The answer points to a world far more connected than we often assume. The source of this super steel is believed to be Central Asia, traveling along vast trade routes that stretched from the Volga River to the Caspian Sea. Viking traders navigating these waterways would have exchanged northern furs and silver for this priceless ingots of foreign steel. The Ulfberht Swords are not just weapons, they are artifacts of globalization, proof of a medieval world linked by commerce and the exchange of ideas. Yet, as quickly as they appeared, the knowledge to make them vanished. The supply of Central Asian steel was eventually cut off, and the specific technique was forgotten in Europe, lost to the chaos of the ages. It would take centuries for metallurgists to independently rediscover how to create steel of such flawless quality. This pattern of loss and rediscovery is a haunting echo throughout history, a cycle of brilliance and amnesia that finds a stunning parallel in a different kind of creation, one not of hardened metal but of delicate colored glass. A weapon that burns on water is a nightmare made real. For the Byzantine Empire, this nightmare was their greatest shield. Known to history as Greek fire, this liquid terror was the secret weapon that saved Constantinople from siege after siege, most famously against the Arab fleets in the 7th and 8th centuries. Projected through bronze tubes mounted on their warships, it would spew forth as a roaring jet of flame, clinging to the wooden hulls of enemy ships and igniting even on the surface of the sea. Water was useless against it. Some accounts even claim it burned more fiercely when doused. The precise formula for this ancient napalm was a state secret of such immense value that it was known only to the emperor and a single family of chemists. Its composition died with them. Modern theories suggest it was a volatile cocktail of crude petroleum, pine resin, and other chemicals like quicklime, which reacts violently with water to generate intense heat. To create and deploy such a substance required more than just a lucky accident. It demanded a sophisticated, systematic understanding of chemistry and pressurized delivery systems that would not be seen again for nearly 1,000 years. This was a pinnacle of military technology born from a crucible of survival, a terrifying knowledge that was gained, used, and then utterly lost. The disappearance of Greek fire stands as a stark reminder that an empire can safeguard a secret so well that it vanishes along with the civilization itself. The fate of this lost weapon finds a haunting parallel in the story of a lost city, a place of legend that was never supposed to be real. For centuries, the story of Helike was a whispered lesson from the ancient world. Classical writers like the Greek Strabo and Pausanias told of a powerful city, a leading member of the Achaean League, that was punished by the sea god Poseidon. In a single, catastrophic night in the winter of 373 BC, they recounted, a massive earthquake swallowed the city, and a colossal wave from the Corinthian Gulf scoured the land, dragging every building and every soul into the depths. Helike vanished, and its story faded into the realm of myth, a cautionary tale of divine wrath. Then, in the late 1980s, after years of searching, archaeologists finally located the lost city, not deep underwater, but buried under layers of silt and gravel in a coastal plain. The earth itself had preserved the truth. Excavations revealed a tragic snapshot of classical Greek life, abruptly interrupted. They found bronze coins from the city's own mint, scattered as if dropped in a sudden panic. They uncovered the foundations of buildings, pottery, and everyday objects, all sealed in a stratum of sea-borne clay that perfectly corroborated the ancient accounts of a tsunami. This was not a legend, it was a historical event of immense proportions, a real-life Atlantis. The He-like artifacts do more than just prove a city existed. They demonstrate the thin, permeable line between documented history and mythological story. A real disaster witnessed by terrified survivors was passed down through generations, slowly transforming into a tale of gods and punishment. The validation of Hell-like's reality forces us to look more carefully at other ancient legends, to wonder what other myths might be rooted in a forgotten truth. This search for a factual core within a great legend brings us to our next artifact, an object that is not merely evidence of a story, but the very source of one of the world's most enduring quests. For millennia, the Ark of the Covenant has represented the ultimate prize for treasure hunters and the ultimate symbol of divine connection for the faithful. More than a simple chest, it was described in the Hebrew Bible as a sacred container, a gold-covered acacia wood box topped by two golden cherubim with outstretched wings. It was said to house the stone tablets of the Ten Commandments, the very law given by God to Moses. But the Ark was far more than a reliquary. It was described as a powerful object in its own right, capable of leveling mountains, striking down armies, and bringing divine judgment upon those who handled it improperly. Its construction was dictated by precise, divine instructions, detailing everything from its exact dimensions to the specific materials to be used. This was not a design born of human trial and error, but one delivered with celestial authority. The fate of the Ark is one of history's great unsolved mysteries. After its central role in the early history of the Israelites, it vanished from the biblical narrative. Was it destroyed when the Babylonians sacked Jerusalem? Was it hidden in a secret chamber beneath the Temple Mount? Or was it spirited away to a remote location like Ethiopia, as one enduring tradition claims? While its physical reality remains a matter of profound faith, its cultural and historical impact is undeniable. It has inspired quests for centuries, driving explorers and scholars to scour ancient texts and dig in distant lands. The Ark embodies the very concept of the lost artifact, a tangible link to a higher power whose discovery would rewrite our understanding of the past. It exists at the intersection of faith and history, a permanent question mark that challenges our perception of what is possible. From this legendary object of divine power, we are drawn to a very different kind of mystery, one found not in ancient texts, but in the unyielding stone of the earth itself. Embedded within a solid lump of Cretaceous rock, a simple tool mocks our understanding of time. Known as the London Hammer, this artifact was discovered in Texas in the 1930s, a perfectly formed hammer with a wooden handle and an iron head, seemingly encased in stone that formed over 100 million years ago. To those who champion it, this is the ultimate anomaly, a human tool from an era when dinosaurs roamed the earth. It appears to be a physical impossibility, a stark challenge to the entire timeline of human evolution. The hammer's proponents see it as undeniable proof that advanced civilizations, or at the very least tool using humans, existed in a deep, forgotten past. Yet science offers a different, more nuanced explanation. Geologists point to the process of concretion, where mineral-rich water can rapidly deposit hard layers of limestone around a modern object. A hammer lost by a miner in the 19th century could have become the nucleus for a concretion that, within a few decades or centuries, gave it the appearance of immense age. The true mystery of the London hammer, then, may not be its origin, but what it reveals about our own desire to find evidence that shatters established history. It stands at the crossroads of fact and belief, forcing us to confront a critical question: how do we distinguish a genuine historical rewrite from a compelling misinterpretation? It reminds us that the story of our past is not just written in stone, but also in the interpretations we bring to it. Stepping back from these 25 individual enigmas, a profound pattern begins to emerge, connecting the gears of the Antikythera Mechanism to the rust-resistant iron of Delhi. These are not just random curiosities, but scattered pieces of a single, grander puzzle. Each artifact, in its own way, represents a flash of brilliance, a spark of knowledge that seems to ignite and then vanish from the historical record. They speak of civilizations that mastered astronomy, chemistry, and engineering, only to have that mastery lost to war, disaster, or the simple, slow erosion of time. What if human progress is not a steady, upward climb, but a cycle of peaks and valleys? What if we are not the first to grasp these concepts, but merely the latest to rediscover them? These artifacts suggest a history punctuated by golden ages and dark ages, where knowledge is gained, preserved for a time, and then tragically lost, waiting to be found again. They challenge the very linearity of our story, proposing instead a world where the past holds secrets we are only now becoming equipped to understand. The greatest mystery may not be any single artifact, but the recurring pattern of forgotten genius they collectively reveal. These scattered whispers from the past form a chorus, a collective voice that speaks to a startling truth about human history. When we step back and view these 25 artifacts as a single collection, a powerful pattern comes into focus. It is a pattern of brilliance and amnesia, of knowledge gained and then lost to the depths of time. We see the same threads weaving through vastly different cultures and eras, a recurring fascination with the stars, a mastery of materials, and an obsession with precision that defies our simple timelines. The Antikythera Mechanism, the Maya calendar, and the Nebra Sky Disc all reveal a deep, sophisticated understanding of celestial cycles. The iron pillar of Delhi, the Ulfberht Swords, and the lost formula for Greek fire showcase a chemical and metallurgical genius that was not supposed to exist. The Indus Valley rulers and the perfect spheres of Costa Rica demonstrate a geometric and engineering precision that feels eerily modern. These are not isolated flukes. They are evidence of peaks, high points of technological and intellectual achievement that were followed by long periods of decline and forgetting. This challenges the comforting idea of a straight, upward line of progress from primitive beginnings to our modern sophistication. What if history is not a line but a spiral or a series of waves? What if civilizations rise, reach a zenith of understanding, and then collapse, their hard-won knowledge scattering to the winds like pages from a burned library? These artifacts are the surviving fragments of those libraries. They force us to consider a world where our current era is not the first to unlock the secrets of the universe, but merely the latest to piece them together again. This cyclical view of history is humbling, and it reshapes our entire relationship with the past. It suggests that our ancestors were not primitive, but were instead fellow travelers on the same quest for knowledge, sometimes reaching heights we are only now beginning to appreciate. The ultimate lesson of these objects may not be about the specific technologies they represent, but about the fragile nature of knowledge itself and the constant, urgent need to preserve it for the generations yet to come.